At CarsGuide, we normally spend anywhere between a day and a week with a new vehicle before delivering you our verdict. Very rarely do we get the chance to review a new model over an extended period of time. That's exactly what I've done over the past 3 months with the Audi e-tron Sportback. The e-tron Sportback, of course, is Audi's all-electric SUV with a coupe twist. So, have I enjoyed living a zero emissions life? In this video, I'll let you know. Before I do, I'm going to split this video into chapters with their time codes right over here, so feel free to skip ahead to anything you're particularly interested in. And if you're watching on YouTube, there are markers in the timeline below to make skipping ahead even easier, but be sure to give this video a like before you do. As always, if you want to know more, you can read my detailed written review on the CarsGuide website, so click on the link in the description below to go check it out. And if you want to stay on top of any of our upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe to the CarsGuide YouTube channel and then hit the bell icon to get notified when they're uploaded. Believe it or not, you can't actually buy the e-tron Sportback you see here anymore. This is the 55 First Edition, which as its name suggests, was available from the e-tron Sportback's launch in September 2020 as part of its model year 20 range. But it was the only e-tron Sportback Audi Australia was able to provide us out of Melbourne for this long-term review. So if you're interested in something similar, you can specify the model year 2022 e-tron Sportback's full-time 55 variant to a similar level.
For what it's worth, the 55 First Edition was priced from a seriously eye-watering $170,000 plus on-road costs, while the 55 is $13,000 cheaper. If you fancy saving another $9,000, the full-time 50 variant is an option, although it has less powerful electric motors and a smaller battery than the 55, but more on all that later. Either way, standard equipment in the BMW iX rival includes an S-Line body kit, LED lights, 21-inch alloy wheels, keyless entry, and a hands-free power-operated tailgate. Inside, push-button start, satellite navigation, wired Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay support, digital radio, a head-up display, and heated front sports seats feature. Options-wise, the $6,700 Premium Plus package is required to come closer to the 55 First Edition. It adds matrix LED headlights, digital side mirrors, rear privacy glass, a 16-speaker Bang & Olufsen 3D sound system, 4-zone climate control and ambient lighting. And you'll also need to cough up $1,600 for the black exterior styling package. So what can't you have? Well, the e-tron Sportback completely misses out on a heated steering wheel, cooled front seats and heated rear seats, all of which you'd hope would be available at its price point.
To these eyes, the e-tron Sportback's exterior looks the part. Whereas most coupe-style SUVs look arguably worse than their wagon counterparts, I reckon that's not the case here. The e-tron Sportback's sloping roofline and stubbier tailgate make it look better, in my opinion, than the traditional wagon body style of the e-tron, which, mind you, costs $11,000 less. At the same time though, the e-tron Sportback still looks like an Audi SUV. In fact, I'd say its focus on design makes it feel even more premium.
Speaking of premium, check out this interior. Most if not all other models in this price bracket don't go as far as the e-tron Sportback. For example, the seats and armrests are covered in Valcona leather upholstery, which is more supple than Nappa apparently. And then there's the sporty Alcantara door inserts and the nice soft touch plastics used on the dashboard and door shoulders. But it's the sheer number of displays that commands all the attention, with the highly customizable digital instrument cluster in particular a joy to use. The dual central touchscreens are almost as good, with Audi wisely dedicating the smaller lower one to the climate controls, while both have haptic feedback for a more natural feel. When fitted with the aforementioned digital side mirrors, the e-tron Sportback also gets a pair of 7-inch OLED touchscreens at either end of the dashboard. They're responsible for providing a live video feed of the aerodynamically friendly wing cameras, which I'll talk more about when we go for a drive. That said, if given the choice, I'd still opt for traditional side mirrors because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. One other minor complaint is all these surfaces combine with the extensive gloss black trim to be fingerprint magnets, so make sure you have a microfiber cloth handy. What do you think of the design? Let us know in the comments.
All-electric vehicles that are based on traditional platforms, like the e-tron Sportback, often suffer from packaging issues, but the e-tron Sportback isn't like most. Take its boot, for example. It has a very competitive cargo capacity of 615 litres, which is just 45 litres shy of what the regular e-tron wagon offers. Not enough space? Stow the split fold second row to unleash its full unspecified potential, but annoyingly you will have to access the manual releases via the second row to do that. Otherwise, there's only a small load lip to contend with, and you've got 4 tie-down points and side storage nets to secure loose items. There's also a 12-volt power outlet in the boot as well for a vacuum or something like that. You also have got some underfloor storage, which is mainly taken up by the Space Saver spare wheel. Yes, it has one of those, but there is a bin there that you can put some smaller items as well. Things get better in the second row, where Audi has managed to position the e-tron Sportback's battery underfloor so well that it actually has a very natural seating position. Most other all-electric vehicles sit up too high because of their batteries, and you end up squatting and really kind of awkward. But that's definitely not the case here, which is good. There's also acceptable headroom, even with the panoramic sunroof fitted and the sloping roofline, and there's oodles of legroom behind my 184 centimetre driving position. There's plenty of footwell space available for 3 adults if they were seated across, which they can do on shorter journeys. Amenities wise, there's a fold down armrest available here, and it has some cup holders too, which you can put a bottle in, and also this shallow tray. I don't know what you would really put in there, but it's there if you need it. And then you have the door bins. They're large enough, thankfully, to fit 1, maybe 2 regular bottles. And the seat backrests ahead of you have storage nets, so you can put some things in there. Got coat hooks up on the B pillars over here, and directional air vents just below. They're in addition to the air vents you get at the rear of the center console, which also houses 2 USB-A ports and a 12-volt power outlet for rear passengers. If you have young kids, there are 2 Isofix and 3 top tether anchorage points for fitting child seats, which shouldn't be too difficult given the amount of room in the second row, and even contending with the e-tron Sportback's reduced door openings. Moving to the first row, where the driver and front passenger are treated to rather supportive sports seats, we have a glove box that is on the larger side alongside the driver's side cubby, which goes some way in making up for the central console storage bin, which is pretty small. Just ahead of it, you've got 2 cup holders, which are large enough for our bottle, and 2 USB-A ports, the SD and SIM card reader, plus a wireless smartphone charger, which curiously is vertically aligned and has a little clip to help secure your device while you're driving around, which is pretty smart. And just ahead of it, a 12-volt power outlet. Now the front door bins can take up to 2 regular bottles each, which is pretty handy. Now you'd be surprised how many all-electric vehicles don't actually have a frunk of fruit, but the e-tron Sportback isn't in the business of letting anyone down. Under this cover here is an additional 60 litres of cargo capacity, which is perfect for storing the onboard 11 kilowatt AC charger and all the other electrical gubbins.
The e-tron Sportback comes with a fairly comprehensive safety suite. Its advanced driver assist systems extend to autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, and lane keep and steering assist. And then there's blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, overly sensitive adaptive cruise control, high beam assist, surround view cameras, and front and rear parking sensors. 6 airbags are also fitted. Of note, Independent Safety Authority ANCAP has given the e-tron Sportback its maximum 5-star safety rating against its 2019 standard. Given the e-tron Sportback is now a couple of years old, it is missing a few safety features that ANCAP now scrutinises, namely intersection assist, emergency steering functionality, and a front centre airbag.
The e-tron Sportback is fitted with front and rear mounted electric motors, which provide a version of Audi's signature Quattro all-wheel drive system. The 55 variant produces up to a considerable 300 kilowatts of power and 664 newton meters of torque on overboost, which is available by putting the single-speed automatic transmission into its sport mode. This combination helps the 55 to sprint from a standstill to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.7 seconds.
As mentioned, the more affordable 50 variant is motivated by a detuned version of the dual motor setup, with it instead delivering 230 kilowatts and 540 newton meters. That said, these outputs are still enough to let it reach triple digits in 6.8 seconds.
The e-tron Sportback's 55 variant is fitted with a liquid-cooled 95 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery, which provides nearly 450 kilometers of WLTP certified range. But again, buyers can save nearly $10,000 and instead choose the 50 variant with its 71 kilowatt-hour battery, delivering about 350 kilometers in between charges.
As far as the 55 is concerned though, my average energy consumption was a very underwhelming 28.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers at the time of filming, which is nearly 24% higher than the official figure on the combined cycle test. My usage equates to a real-world range of nearly 340 kilometers, which, while about 110 kilometers shy of the WLTP testing, could be a good fit for you. It's certainly enough to confidently traverse the urban jungle, although careful planning is required for country trips. Either way, the 55 clearly isn't the first word in efficiency, especially around town, where it's strangely nowhere near as efficient as other all-electric vehicles. That said, given I've mostly done shorter trips in a lockdown Melbourne, I actually haven't had to charge it that often.
Speaking of charging, the 55 can be charged from 0 to 80% in about 8.5 hours using the onboard 11 kilowatt AC charger with a Type 2 plug, so overnight then. But find a 150 kilowatt DC fast charger with a CCS plug and it'll do the job in less than 30 minutes, which is more than reasonable.
Conveniently, the e-tron Sportback comes with 6 years of free unlimited charging via ChargeFox's growing Australian network of public stations, although a fair use policy applies. Alternatively, wall boxes can be installed in homes and workplaces via Audi Australia's infrastructure partner, JetCharge.
Like all Audi Australia models, the e-tron Sportback is covered by a 3-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which is 2 years shy of the premium standard set by Mercedes-Benz, Volvo and Genesis. That said, the e-tron Sportback's battery is covered by a separate 8-year 160,000 kilometre term, so there is some extra peace of mind.
But there's a lot more to its after-sales package, as it also includes 6 years of roadside assistance, which is double what you get with Audi Australia's traditionally powered models. Better yet, the e-tron Sportback's service intervals are also twice the length of the norm, at every 24 months or 30,000 kilometres, whichever comes first. And to make the deal even sweeter, its first 3 visits don't cost a cent. That's up to an impressive 6 years or 90,000 kilometres of free servicing.
Now, when you get behind the wheel of an electric car, the first thing most people want to hear about is the acceleration, and the e-tron Sportback is no different. If you put your foot down, you get that instantaneous torque, which throws yourself and the occupants in the back of their seats. Of course, you've got 300 kilowatts of power and 664 newton meters of torque available to play with, so it really is no slouch in a straight line. Certainly has the equivalent of a hot hatch's performance. But where things start to come a little bit undone is the braking front. Now, again, electric vehicle, it has regenerative braking, but in its most aggressive mode, as I'm demonstrating right now, from 40 kilometers an hour, it comes down to a crawl of about 10 Ks. Other electric cars have a one-pedal driving mode, or at least the option of one, and the e-tron Sportback doesn't. It doesn't have that aggressive regenerative braking that allows you to basically go around town and not have to engage the friction brakes or touch the brake pedal. It's a really good way of operating an electric car, but one that's not available here. And it would go some way in helping with the efficiency or lack thereof with the e-tron. It would really help to reduce that energy consumption. Now, another thing that doesn't help the energy consumption is the weight of the e-tron. This is a car that weighs more than 2.7 tons, and you really do feel that weight as you go through the corners. It's really feeling like physics are working against you. It's not to say that it's a terrible handler, but it's definitely not a sporty drive in that regard. It's something that you're constantly aware of, managing the weight of the vehicle, but certainly around town where you don't necessarily experience that body roll, it's much more manageable. But you can flick the adaptive dampers that the air suspension is fitted with into their dynamic mode, which helps to cancel out a little bit of that body roll, but at the same time it does obviously reduce ride quality. Overall though, ride quality is pretty good. It's comfortable, you've got those air springs again, but yeah, around town, even on the 21-inch wheels that this particular e-tron Sportback is fitted with, it's pretty good. It's comfortable, and it's one of those things where you just take it around town and you'll hardly ever have a complaint. Also around town, the steering is really nice and light in hand. It makes maneuvers very easy to perform, like U-turns and parallel parking and all that kind of fun stuff. But as you get more up to speed, it's pretty well weighted too, so it definitely gives you confidence behind the wheel. It's also nice and direct, so in terms of steering, it's pretty good. But if you do want a bit more heft, again, you can engage the dynamic drive mode, which adds a bit more weight to the wheel if that's your type of thing. But again, I personally wouldn't bother, just leave it in comfort. It's nice and easy around town. Something else you'll enjoy around town, or just in general, are the low levels of noise in the car. Again, you don't have an engine whirring away up front, so you do start to notice a little bit of road noise, a little bit of tyre noise, and a little bit of the electric motor whine, but that's it. It's quite hushed inside the car. And again, if you've got the Bang & Olufsen sound system pumping, then you're really not going to notice anything. You are very much well insulated from the rest of the world. Now, normally with other cars, you get a bit of wind noise over the side mirrors, but as I mentioned earlier, we've got digital side mirrors fitted here. They are basically just aerodynamically friendly stalks, so they hardly make a peep in terms of noise. But again, as you can see now, you've got the little OLED displays in the corners of the door, and that is your view out of what's happening behind you. Now, it is very unnatural when you check your mirrors. Normally you would look through the front windows, but here you actually look down and don't really look out at all. So you do lose that peripheral vision, and you do place a lot of trust in what you see on the display there. But for the better part of 2 months, I wasn't really happy with that, but it became pretty natural in the end. Well, maybe not natural, but you get used to it over time. So it is really one of those things that grows on you. But at the end of the day, if you had the choice between these digital side mirrors and actual glass side mirrors, a traditional type, you have to go for the glass every time. It's cheaper, and there is nothing higher resolution than an actual reflection. All in all, I've really enjoyed living with the e-tron Sportback over the past 3 months. Like all electric vehicles in 2021, it is expensive and has some of its quirks, some of which are avoidable, but it still manages to be most things to most people, including myself. After all, the e-tron Sportback is well packaged, looks and feels premium, and is comfortable to drive. But all new rivals are coming thick and fast, so it needs to stay on its proverbial toes. But what do you think? Is the e-tron Sportback a winner? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget, there's even more detail in my written long-term review on the CarsGuide website, including a breakdown of the upcoming overall score. Thanks for watching.